Hi, this is Chandra from How Chandra Does Food and chandraposton.com. And we are making some weeknight dinners. Now, all these are things that I put together quickly, but a lot of times I do some prep work during the middle of the day. And in this case, I was just dumping some apple chutney from a previous month's dinner of a pork roast, and I had some left over, so I saved it, and now we're having it tonight with pork tenderloin and mashed potatoes. So here's our pork tenderloin, and we do buy pigs. We buy a whole pig every year about. So pork tenderloin, there's only one. So it's a prized piece of meat, and we really enjoy it, and we like to sear this in the pan with adobo seasoning, which I put together myself. I just looked up on the internet a mix and mixed it, and I keep it in my cabinet. So this will get seared on all sides, and then I will finish it in the oven. This I end up cutting in half because it is big, so that it will fit in the pan without having to curl it. This that I'm using in the pan is lard that is also from that pig. I render all of the fat and it turns into lard and is great for anywhere you would use butter or olive oil when you're cooking. Now I'm adding some ghee to my potatoes. I don't use butter too much in family dinners because I don't do well with lactose. But ghee has no lactose, it is just pure fat. And the flavor I prefer over lard for something where I'm really going to taste it in potatoes. Then I thin that out with a little bit of water because I don't want to use milk, and I didn't have any sort of nut milks available right then, so water works just fine. Here I am trying to keep up with the dishes as I go, because after dinner is over, I don't want cleanup to take too long, because once the kids are in bed, I like to be off duty. Our CSA, which we use for vegetables and pick up once a week, is back, and it's so great to not have to rely on the grocery store for that stuff, which means I can go to the grocery store pretty reliably just twice a month. So I'm making our typical salad, especially in the winter, which is greens and grated carrots. I'm going to take the drippings that are in the pan, sprinkle some of the cassava flour on them, and cook that just for a minute to make a little gravy for the mashed potatoes. I'll add some stock into this that I had in my refrigerator, and that'll be good. So Tuesday night I had planned to have a stir fry, but I was feeling very stir fried out. I think last week we had a lot of like Asian type dinners, and I was ready to move on from that. So with the same meat that I had gotten out for that, it's a lean cut, like a flank steak kind of thing. I am salting, peppering, and then I had some onion top pesto that I'm going to put on it, and that's just going to sit for the rest of the afternoon until Joe is ready to grill it. And he'll grill this really fast on both sides, so it's nice and rare. And if you've never seen me break a chicken down before, here you go. I am getting ready for the next day's dinner by just prepping this chicken. I like to salt chicken ahead of time. It makes it really tender. And Joe was saying that when you grill it, when it's been previously salted, which is what we ended up doing with these chicken parts, it doesn't drip as much grease onto the grill and cause so much of like fires and flare-ups. So that was another benefit, but also it just makes the meat so tender and juicy and flavorful. I'm putting the wings aside in this bag, which I keep in the freezer and just add wings every time we break a chicken down. And when we accumulate a lot of them, we have a wing night. Now the carcass was the second one that I had in the freezer. There's the first. And once I have two, I will put them in the Instant Pot with whatever vegetables I've acquired over the month or whatever. So apple cider vinegar, and I will make stock by pressure cooking that on low for 2 hours. Now these steak fries, I pulled out all of the different fats that I had in the refrigerator. So this one is on top of some stock that I must have cooked something and had some left over. And then I have some fat here. I think this is chicken fat and that was pork fat. And then I have some lard out, which I end up not needing. And these were the best steak fries. I think that the seasonings that had been in those meats that those fats were cooked with were just really good. And the fries were thinner. They got nice and crispy. Oh, they were so good. I wish I had made more. This is some cabbage, and I'm adding, this is all stuff I cut earlier at nap time. Now we're at dinner time, and that's cabbage, apples, and onions. I'm getting some olive oil on there, salt and pepper, and that will roast in the oven alongside the potatoes. I was just looking at this and thinking, what is on the stove top? I know we're having steak on this night, but that's English muffins. I'm also making English muffins on this evening, and I'll link the video below on how I do those. So I pulled the potatoes out just so I could toss the fat around and coat them. I just needed to let that melt since it was solid. And then once it has a few minutes in the oven, it can be tossed and coated on all those fries. Now with the breast from that chicken that I broke down the day before, I am making chicken Caesar salad, which is Leo's favorite salad. He loves it. So first I'm going to roast those in the oven at 350 for about half an hour. I'll just check them to make sure they are at least 160. I think I go more for 170. And now I am making a Caesar dressing. So I've got garlic on there that's chopped up. I'm adding anchovy filets. So it's 1 clove of garlic, a big pinch of kosher salt. I think that's supposed to help the garlic not stick to your knife while you're chopping. But regardless, the recipe needs salt. And 6 anchovy filets, which I get packed in oil, and those last such a long time in the refrigerator. To that, I am adding an egg yolk. I think I used 2 egg yolks, actually. And I'll whisk all that together with some mustard. Mustard acts as the emulsifier, like it helps the olive oil emulsify in, like mix in completely, so it becomes nice and thick and creamy. Actually, I use a little bit of olive oil and mostly avocado oil. You could use all olive oil, but this gives it a less strong flavor. I also add half of a lemon. Once this is all mixed together, I will start very slowly streaming in the oils, and I will whisk the whole time. So it's kind of like making mayonnaise. I tend to use a nice big heavy bowl for this so that it doesn't move around while I'm whisking. You can also put a bowl on top of a towel or something, which helps it keep from spinning around. Adding some pepper, and that's it for this. I'll put a little bit in a jar for Joe for his lunch tomorrow, and the rest of it we will use for dinner. For the Parmesan in this salad, we like to have big shavings, which I accomplish with a vegetable peeler. For croutons, I'm using this sourdough baguette that I had made and had in the freezer, and everybody really likes it when I use these denser crumb breads for croutons. They make a nice crouton. So I'm cutting this rather than like a big holy sourdough loaf. So I've got this baguette and I'm cutting it up into cubes. I will put it in the oven at 375 with olive oil and salt and pepper for 7-minute intervals. And I check it pretty frequently because it does burn quickly. Here is a salad maker now. We like to make everything on the plate, and then so you know your right amounts that you want, and then we pour it into a bowl and stir it around so that the dressing gets really coated on everything. And then it goes back on the plate and we're ready to eat. The next night is chicken noodle soup, and I have out that stock that I made with my 2 chicken carcasses. I skimmed off the fat from that to saute my onions, carrots, and celery in. I thought I would use, oh, and I'm also using some turnips. It's turnip season around here, or storage turnips from our CSA, so some salt on that. I thought I would use the chicken legs from that whole chicken to make this. I'm putting some thyme and some bay leaf in also. But I had a lot of leftover chicken from the chicken Caesar salad. And then I also pulled some chicken off the bones from the stock that I made. So I had plenty to make the soup. So I ended up saving the legs, and we grilled those on the weekend. So you won't see that here. This is a weeknight dinners video. But we did use those for a third dinner, so we got 3 dinners out of that chicken, plus a previous carcass from a different chicken. So once I have all that sauteed, I am adding in stock. The rest of the stock from this, I will put, there wasn't enough to bother canning. I put it in jars and into the freezer. It's nice to have it both ways, both canned and frozen. More of the nutrients are retained when it's frozen, so, but it's less convenient. So I do some of both. Some more salt and pepper. So a little while ago I made this turkey soup, and I had a little bit of French toast mixture left in the refrigerator, and I tend to look around the refrigerator when I'm making soup to see what I can add in, and I thought, what about adding this egg, kind of like how you do it in ice cream, like temper it and then put it into the soup, because I know there are soups that use eggs, and I had never tried that. And it was, when I made that turkey soup, I didn't tell anybody I did that because I didn't know how it would be received, but Joe said it was the best soup I have ever made. So I'm doing it again, I'm doing it on purpose this time, and it is so good. It makes it thick and creamy without having to add flour or cream. It's awesome. And I mean, more protein, so can't go wrong with that. I've just been thinking, like, what else can I add eggs to? Oh, and since there was cinnamon in that French toast egg that I added to the previous soup, I thought maybe that was the magical ingredient. So I put a little smidge of cinnamon in as well, and nobody complained. So Friday night dinners, we try to have them be easy because it's nice to have an easy Friday afternoon and evening. And good thing, because this day I was not feeling like making dinner. So I had taken out this bag of tomatoes from my garden, which I had just cored and seeded and frozen. They still have their skins on them, and I'm not going to worry about that. So I let that thaw over some low heat. I wanted to make a ziti with this, and I thought I was making pasta, but then it was so liquidy, and I had the idea to just throw the pasta right in there instead of reducing that all the way down. Just cook the pasta in the liquid and use that to absorb all the extra liquid. So that worked great. I threw some onions in there, I threw some olive oil. I did it all like in a different order than I would normally do it, but I was not feeling it. So I'm adding all those pasta sauce type seasonings: thyme, oregano, garlic, and sage. That's dried from my garden. Into this pan I am putting some mostly frozen Italian sausage. I'm gonna get that browned, and then I will add that to my ziti. I did save a little bit out for myself because I don't want the cheese, but this part is for everybody else, and it will get mozzarella and some Parmesan after I take it out of the oven. I will put it in the oven at a high temperature, 500, to rewarm and melt the cheese.